Tonight on Denver 7 News at 6, homes are evacuated as a wildfire burns in Larimer County.
A commission expands its idea of which school mascots should be considered offensive.
If there's a population of people that say it's not honoring our culture, why aren't we listening?
Colorado takes another step toward a full economic recovery.
I think we're certainly moving in that direction.
Lawmakers put a timeline on eliminating forever chemicals in the products that contain them.
And the really dangerous thing is that they never go away or break down.
And will Steph play? And how far can Nikola Jokic take the Nuggets? We're live in San Francisco ahead of Game 1.
Boy, it seems like all it takes anymore is a slight breeze and a spark. Yet another wildfire has forced people from their homes. This time, the evacuations are coming in the area of Blue Mountain, just north of Lyons. People living on Moss Rock Drive in both Larimer and Boulder counties are being told to get out.
So right now, it's unclear exactly how many buildings are threatened, but we have seen fire burn right up at 2 homes. We've also seen firefighters hold the line. For now, the sheriff's office is telling people to gather in the parking lot of Lifebridge Church in Longmont.
And Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson will join us in just a few minutes with a look at how conditions are shaping up for the weekend. And as always, you can stay up to date on Denver 7 Plus or on thedenverchannel.com. Colorado's Commission of Indian Affairs has expanded its idea of what can be considered an offensive school mascot.
So which means 2 more schools might need to be in need of new representation. Denver 7's Micah Smith with that story.
During this immersive art class, students at the American Indian Academy of Denver are learning to express themselves in different ways. More than 50% of the students at this school identify as Indigenous.
We really celebrate cultural identity and the uniqueness that we all bring.
Incoming principal Rachel Blackman says many Indigenous students are only exposed to Native culture at school through stereotypical mascots.
There's an idea that Native Americans are Pocahontas or they're these savage killers, and mascots perpetuate those images. And I think that's one of the biggest things is just the installation of misinformation and stereotypes.
This shows evidence of us removing our Native American imagery.
In the state of Colorado, it's against the law for schools to have Native American mascots without a tribe's blessing. Schools who don't comply face a $25,000 monthly fine.
And then midway through the presentation, you'll see it switches from Lamar Savages to option B, which is the Savage Thunder.
On Friday, the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs met with leaders from 6 schools, including Lamar High School, working towards getting rid of the representation. But some tribes don't find the mascots offensive.
They are helping us with the curriculum.
Kiowa High in Elbert County received special permission from the Kiowa tribe to keep their mascot. And school leaders promised to teach a special course on Native American history. But the commission has received more mascot complaints from other tribes. Recently, Thunderbird, a large bird-like creature with significance to certain tribes, was added to the banned list. And in May, the commission will decide what happens to schools like Hinckley High School and Thunder Ridge Middle School in Aurora who have Thunderbird mascots.
If there's a population of people that say it's not honoring our culture, why aren't we listening? It's really important that our students are able to see themselves in society as who they are and not as a stereotype.
Reporting in Denver, Micah Smith, Denver 7.
A federal jury has acquitted DaVita and former CEO Kent Thiry on all charges. The Denver-based dialysis company was accused of making handshake deals with other corporations to not poach one another's employees. Prosecutors argued that violated antitrust laws.
A man was taken to the hospital with severe smoke inhalation and minor burns following this fire at an apartment complex today. A Denver Fire tells us 4 units were destroyed, 4 others damaged. This building is on South Quebec Way. The Red Cross tonight is assisting.
The King Soopers gunman has again been found incompetent to stand trial in the murders of 10 people. Another review is scheduled for July. In March, an evaluation found there to be substantial probability that the suspect will eventually be restored to competency. 2 people are in critical condition after being stabbed in Golden. Police say this person, 29-year-old Mark Namit, is responsible. Investigators tell us he stabbed a man and a woman who then managed to flag down a neighbor and get help. Other details are being withheld.
Aurora City Manager Jim Twombly reaffirmed his commitment today to leading the police department in a new direction. In an open letter to the community, Twombly said he understands the optics of Vanessa Wilson's ouster as chief, but said his decision was based on the need to pursue leadership that will bring transformation. Meanwhile, the group chosen as consent decree monitor wants the public to know it's holding a town hall style meeting Tuesday evening at the Aurora Municipal Center. You can also watch online if you prefer. The monitor will be charged with helping Aurora Police and Fire implement change. Colorado's unemployment rate fell from 4% to 3.7% in March, and that's the lowest we have seen since February 2020, when unemployment was 2.8%. The State Labor Department believes that pre-pandemic number is within reach.
All things, being equal, not there being another shock to the economy. I think it's possible within a year we're talking about, those rates being what they were pre-pandemic, just kind of seeing how fast it's dropped over the past.
Very encouraging. It took Colorado 22 months to go from peak unemployment brought on by the pandemic to this 3.7%. It took 57 months to do the same thing during the Great Recession.
Forever chemicals are a common component of many common items. That's what happens when you have an effective product. People use it. Well, for understandable reasons, Colorado lawmakers would prefer they didn't. Denver 7 politics reporter Megan Lopez explains why.
It's a chemical used in a lot of consumer products. From cookware to carpets, fast food wrappers to cosmetics, PFAS or forever chemicals are common.
So I'll be the first to admit, or maybe my husband will, that I am not the best cook in the world. So nonstick pans and pots are kind of a lifesaver. But the chemical that makes them nonstick is PFAS. That's the full name. I'm gonna spare you and not try to say it myself. It's a chemical that's made life pretty convenient.
When they were developed, it seemed like a great solution.
It was convenient in firefighting foam for quickly putting out flames.
I have over 20 parts per trillion of PFAS in my systems.
But Liz Rosenbaum knows there can be a downside to convenience.
That's 20 times higher than the average person.
So does Dr. Deetra Duncan.
My husband came up with cancer that is non-existent in his family.
Both women live in El Paso County, where PFAS from a nearby military airfield contaminated the water supply. The chemical has been linked to some cancers and health defects. Colorado has taken steps to ban the chemical's use in some instances. This legislative session, lawmakers are looking to phase out PFAS in consumer products starting in 2024. Carpets, cookware, cosmetics, furniture, and some fabrics would be included.
It's become obvious that these are incredibly dangerous and toxic to human health.
Last month, Burger King announced it would phase out PFAS in its food packaging, following chains like McDonald's and Wendy's. Representative Lisa Cutter says that proves it's possible. Others,
they are of no significant concern in cookware,
raised concerns that the bill is too broad or that the consumer products are not like firefighting foam.
And as written, the definition includes hundreds, if not thousands, of different chemistries with very different physical and chemical properties.
Even with a phase out, Duncan wonders what all this will mean.
Do low-income families have the opportunity to go through their homes and completely gut out carpet and replace? They don't.
But supporters say it's time to move away from these chemicals, even at the sake of convenience.
I would really prefer to use a different cooking pan. That's not going to give me cancer along with a over-easy egg.
Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
And Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser is currently suing 15 companies for manufacturing firefighting foam containing forever chemicals. In February, we asked him if companies could plausibly deny they knew the chemicals were dangerous.
We don't necessarily know exactly what all the actors knew at what time, but what all of them have in common is they knew, or they should have known, that there was a public health risk. And despite that, they failed to take basic steps to manage or mitigate the harm to public health.
And one of the companies named in the lawsuit is DuPont, and a spokesperson previously said the complaint was without merit and an example of DuPont being improperly named in litigation.
Coming up.
All right, here we go.
Meet the Colorado woman putting the bold in Boulder, Boulder.
Let's do this.
Some pretty nice mid-April temperatures today. I'll let you know what we can expect for the Easter weekend.
Coming up in sports, we're live in San Francisco as the Nuggets and Warriors prepare for their playoff battle. Who's the X Factor? I'll tell you. That's coming up.